Hey loves, it's your girl Mariah Sincere, and I am back with another bomb live. For those of y'all who do not know me, I am an American who is living abroad. Right now, I'm in Peru. I've been here for I want to say about a week now. I've been here for about a week now because I came on Sunday, so almost a week. But yes, I'm an American who lives abroad who does social and political commentary. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you for holding it down. With that said, we have a lot to get into. I don't plan on being on this live that long today. Guys, for those of y'all who are interested in doing what I'm doing, if you want to live abroad, if you want to take a sabbatical and leave the United States for 3 or 6 months, but you don't know how to do it and you don't know where to get started, hit me up at my website, ThePassportSis.com. I got you. I can help you come up with a plan and tailored solution so that we can really get you out of the United States within 6 months to a year, depending on your hustle, what you're trying to do. Okay. And again, this is not a like leave the United States, exit the United States, because honestly and truly, I would probably still be in the United States. I just can't afford, I can't afford to live there and get ahead, but I love my country. Anyway, so let's get started. So today we have some interesting topics to talk about. Now, Donald Trump federalized DC was that last week, and people are up in arms. They're claiming martial law. I've already debunked that. I've already given y'all the definition of martial law and what it is. All Donald Trump did was take over Washington DC for the next 30 days. Now, is it possible that he might try to extend that? I don't know. I don't know if legally he can do that, but we shall see. The theory is, though, that this is a test run for other crime-ridden cities across the United States. And to that, I say, criminals, it's time to get right. The warning signs have been there. You know, I've been listening to, if y'all don't know For No Fame, For No Fame, he's a faceless channel here on YouTube, and he's been doing commentary particularly targeted at African Americans, and he uses popular culture to talk about uh where the country is going and what direction the world is headed in. But if you really listen to him, it's not a race. And he says that too. Anybody who's intelligent has figured this out. It's not a racial conversation at all, really. He's been telling people the time for crime and not doing things the right way and doing things illegally and not upholding yourself to a standard of law, that time is coming to an end. He's started warning about this 3 years ago, you know, about people who were making their money in the streets illegally, or people who were living off of the government, and people living off of food stamps. And again, I have absolutely no problem with people getting help when they need it, but this is more so for those people who have been taking advantage of systems and don't want to better themselves in life. So this man has been talking about this, and lo and behold, what happened? You know, I watched it happen in real time, where a lot of the street money, y'all know I used to work in the club, a lot of the street money started drying up. A lot of the men who were in the streets selling illicit substances, they weren't making the money that they used to, or they were going to jail. And this even began during the Biden Harris administration, even though they allowed a lot of crime, and even though a lot of these blue states allowed a lot of you know, essentially catch and release with these no cash bail systems. But you know, the writing has been on the wall even before Donald Trump's presidency, that it's up for you criminals, it's up for you people that don't want to do right, it's up for you people that don't want to make your money the legal way, it's up for you people who are like, I don't want to get a job, and you don't have the hustle in you to be an entrepreneur the correct way. It's up for y'all. It's over. Those days are over, and it's done. And people are upset. They want to make excuses. They want to be mad about it. They want to blame everybody but the problem. But the fact of the matter is, your time has come to an end. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to whine and complain? Or are you going to find legit ways to make money? This is going to separate the weak from the strong. Okay. With that said, I am going to go to the Cartier family's channel. Shout out to them. So their video is Black America shocked as crime falls after crackdown. Let me share my screen. I love the Cartier family. They're just such wholesome brothers, and they tell the truth. They tell it like it is. Okay, let me make sure y'all can see. Okay, here we go.
He asked after seeing.
He's better than me. Oh, wow. Gonna be all right.
Thank you, Trump. You can now come and check out the monuments, get something to eat, and check out the sites in Washington, D.C. And not get robbed, carjacked, or killed by somebody who looks like me.
Okay.
Damn.
Well, hi, Jillian.
There are a lot of us who have sense. There are a lot of Black people, in particular, older Black people, especially older Black people that have been shaking their head at this foolishness. And a lot of Black men do not like this. And I think a part of the reason why they don't like this is because since their demographic is responsible for so much crime, it makes the ones who are trying to work hard, do right, integrate into society, and show that they are capable of having social behaviors and not antisocial behaviors. It puts a target on their back. They're automatically judged, and people can say, "Oh, that's wrong. You shouldn't judge people based off of appearances." But at the end of the day, people are going to have pattern recognition. So if they're seeing something go on in their day to day, or if they're seeing something happen in the news, they're going to notice patterns. That's in anything in life, and it doesn't matter what group that it pertains to. You're going to notice that these patterns exist unless you're just foolish or unless you have a low IQ. That's one thing I love about IQ tests. People say that, all these tests are racist, but with an IQ test, you don't even get questions. All an IQ test does is assess your ability to recognize patterns. And if you cannot recognize patterns, or the lesser your ability to recognize patterns, the lower the IQ that you have. So that is a measure of intelligence.
Two sources briefed on the probe tell us that, yes, the Justice Department is investigating whether or not someone or multiple people may have manipulated crime data when it comes to Washington, D.C. crime statistics. This investigation is being run out of U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro's office here in D.C. Also, Maine DOJ, where I'm sitting now and speaking to you, also has a hand in this probe. Again, these are just allegations. President Trump mentioned something about it yesterday on Truth Social and said that there is an investigation underway. Then we were able to confirm that as well from two independent sources. I will note, if you go on the DC website, Jillian, it says violent crime is down 26% from what it was last year. But we asked, after seeing a report from a local affiliate here in Washington, D.C., that a police sergeant was put on leave. We asked, MPD said that they could not confirm the existence of an investigation, but not many other details other than to say right now there is a DOJ investigation into the possibility.
This is just investigation. It's not confirmation. But what I will say is there's an incentive to fudge the numbers. If you've ever worked any type of government job or worked in administration, these police chiefs, these police departments, they get valued and scored on their ability to keep crime down. Otherwise, why are you here? So it matters. They keep their job based upon the number of cases they solve, based upon the safety of the community. And if the numbers are showing that the situation is getting worse, then your job is on the chopping block. So there is incentives for these higher ups to lie. I'm not saying that's what happened here. I'm saying it's valid to investigate that, right? Because how is crime rising everywhere else, but it's going down in that particular city, right? But with that said, we don't know. It's possible that crime could have genuinely been on the decrease. It's worth looking into. Look, I tell people all the time, I used to work for the public education system. And if you looked at the raw numbers, it looked like these kids were passing or that they were college ready. And honestly and truly, a lot of that had to do with the fact that teachers couldn't even fail the kids. So if you can't fail the kids, or your job is on the line, or you're going to get punished, then when those reports come out, the numbers are going to be fudged. It's not going to be an accurate assessment. And this happens all the time in government, especially when you have funding that is tied to what am I trying to say? Funding that is tied to performance, right? And that sounds like on the surface that's the right thing to do, but there are many problems that come along with it. One of them being lying and manipulation of numbers, which it's very possible to do that. So I'm not going to say I have a solution to that, right? Because you would want to have some type of system. You would want to have some rubric upon which you can judge whether or not a a person in a government position is efficient at their job. But again, no system is perfect. So I think it's worth looking into. IQ tests terrify me. I'd rather just say I have a low intelligence quotient than actually fail the test. Well, I mean, you can't really fail an IQ test. It's just a measure of intelligence. There's no like pass or fail. They just give you an IQ number, you know? But I mean, anything under 75 is considered mental MR, if you know what I'm trying to say. Trying not to get my videos demonetized.
That some of that crime data was manipulated to make things look actually safer than it was.
What incentivized them to do that? Why?
I guess
I
it
just
makes it look
explained
like
that.
it's getting better.
Yeah.
No, I just explained that. Their literal jobs are on the line.
But then that would be crediting Trump. How does that help?
They're doing
I really
that
don't
to
know.
say that it's not a problem, I'm assuming.
No, because the data was showing that crime has been dropping over the last 2 years. So that would have been pre-Trump as well. But honestly, they're not thinking about Donald Trump in that situation. They are thinking about their jobs, their promotions, their salaries. It has nothing to do with the federal government.
Like, oh, it's getting better. It's just, Trump doesn't need to do anything to fix it. But obviously, he does.
Because hasn't it dropped dramatically in the last week?
Yes.
Y'all remember when I got on here and I pulled up El Salvador? Ask El Salvador. It works. Sometimes, being nice is not the best option.
That President Bukele in El Salvador does not play. The Ministry of Education in El Salvador this week just mandated that in all schools, the children must wear uniforms and they must have like a clean haircut. He outlined the Edgar haircut. And if y'all don't know what an Edgar is, it's one of them haircuts that like a lot of the Hispanic boys wear the little Edgar haircut. And it's usually the ones who are like wannabe thugs. I worked with a lot of the Hispanic boys with the Edgar haircut, and a lot of them were not thugs for real, right? But again, if you understand the history of that country and the fact that his people could not even go safely take their kids to the park, that was like a luxury. Now they finally get to take their kids to the park. So he's very popular. He has an immense amount of support amongst the people. And like from the outside looking in, as an American the majority of us have never experienced that level of violence and fear when walking outside of our house. It looks extreme and it looks like an infringement upon rights. But I honestly and truly believe that not one government fits all situations. And you really don't recognize that until you leave the United States and you see things that you haven't seen before. I think we view the world through rose-colored glasses because things have been made so comfortable in our country for so long that we don't understand just how bad it gets. And while I would completely be upset with that kind of thing happening, in my state, if I was back in Texas, I understand why it was necessary in El Salvador.
Okay, doke. So, in the last 7 days, robbery down 46, carjacking 83. Who would be mad at this?
So, yeah, we also saw a stat yesterday that the murder rate in a city called, a place called Deanwood in D.C., which is a predominantly black area where we keep seeing these videos of the police rolling around and they say they're being harassed. The crime rate there, if you take that crime rate and put it on a global standard, it would be the highest crime rate in the world.
Wait. Yeah.
Higher than Mexico, higher than it was 86.7 per 100,000 people.
86.7 murders per 100,000.
Yes.
It was 13 times the national average.
Yeah, 13 times the national average.
And we draw the line at arresting them. All right, guys, I have a really, really cool opportunity for you. So there's
a lot of Rolos from Bogota. Y'all know I'm stationed in Medellin. I'll be back in January, but I pay attention to their news and like follow their meme sites and things on Instagram. And a lot of Rolos and Colombians took offense to the fact that Donald Trump basically said it's a shame that in DC the crime rate is higher than in Bogota, which is the capital of Colombia. And people kind of got upset about that, but they have to understand Colombia has they have a reputation. And again, that's it. So as someone who's been there, you do have to be careful. The level of crime there is different in the United States, but he was basically trying to draw a comparison. Like, this is a country that is supposed to be one of the most dangerous countries in South America, yet in their capital, you're safer than in the capital of the United States. That's a problem. How can you hold yourself as a world-class standard when you have countries that are supposedly, third world countries or developing nations who are able to keep the crime in their nation's capital under control more than the United States is? So that was a good point to be made. And I mean, anybody who got upset with that was just in denial. Hi, Mitch. What's up? Good to see you back. They IQ and lie detector test both. Crime tends to be a state issue. Organized crime, I say, is a federal issue. No governor could deal with the Italian or Jewish or Irish mob, and damn sure not the Russian edition. Well, yeah, that's true. Drug test even. Okay, let's continue.
Day online real estate training, and what we'll learn is how to find. So we will all be at the
essentially going at
viewers with code.
I'm very concerned about that. And not only that, I'm concerned.
Here go Mayor Karen Bass. Honestly and truly, she has no business showing her face on TV. With the amount of scamming, shameless scamming that her and Gavin Newsom are conspiring to do in terms of trying to snatch that land up from the people who lost their house in the fire in the Palisades. It's completely wrong. This woman has been offering money to illegal migrants. Y'all been trying to snatch the land from people who tragically lost their house so that you can build low-income housing on their land. I don't understand how she feels like she has the authority to come on TV and speak on anything. Matter of fact, if I was her, I would be ashamed to show my face. But these people have no shame.
About the way he is rolling that out in Washington, D.C., which is essentially going after young Black and brown youth in Washington, D.C., imposing a curfew, saying that if they violate the curfew, the parents could be charged $500, saying that.
I hate it when they bring race into this because it's such a self-own. So if somebody said, we're going to crack down on crime in our nation's capital, these people automatically hear they're going after Black and brown youth. What do I hear when they say that? Oh, you are saying that the Black and the brown youth are the ones who are committing the crimes. It's a self-own. It's a self-own. I would be trying to dissociate that from minorities, but at the same time, the fact of the matter is, the reality of the matter is, they know who is committing most of the crime in these places. That's why they have these Freudian slips every single time. And they think that by calling the white people racist, that it's going to eliminate the fact that the stats bear it out. The stats show who is committing the majority of the crime in these areas. But I mean, honestly, let's focus more on protecting the Black and brown people who are law abiding over the ones who are not. Like, don't they matter? Do they never matter in this situation? I don't understand. Yet we're supposed to think that conservatives and Republicans are the ones that are racist when they don't even care about protecting the most vulnerable among us, which are the people who are victims of the crimes that people that look like them commit in their areas.
the
That's
kids
for any
could be
race.
detained and arrested. We've tried those policies before. They do not work. And it's my understanding that crime was going down in Washington, D.C. So what is the purpose of this?
Like, I don't see how any regular human citizen who just minds their business all day could be against this. Unless y'all family members or friends are the ones committing the crimes.
That's
But
what
you
it
know
is.
this.
That's why you see a lot of these moms, like a lot of these single moms, they're the ones who are like at the protest and the loudest at the marches, because they know what type of children they raised. They know what type of sons they raised. And they're in fear, because ain't no way. Me as a woman, a single parent with a daughter, yeah, my daughter's dad is in her life and he helps. But like, as far as who lives with me on the day to day, if I lived in that type of neighborhood, you would not catch me marching, protesting, making memes, shouting to the rooftop, tweeting about a crackdown on crime. Because ultimately, little girls and little boys are the most vulnerable in those type of situations, in those type of living conditions. But again, when you are the parent that is raising bad actors, you're going to shout the loudest. Oh, it's because I have a son. And yeah, okay.
The black people that are for this, they don't sound stupid.
Huh.
The first man was,
Is that, you think there's a correlation there?
yeah,
I would say so.
stupid.
Hold on. Remember, again, we got black people and we got Gus.
Yeah.
So the Gus are upset because
Yeah, but
they getting in trouble.
It's just stupid versus common sense on this one.
And I think that black people have common sense and Gus are stupid.
Just like this guy right here. Look.
What's up, y'all? I'm walking to work this morning. I'm downtown, walking from the Union Station to my job, the Department of Justice, and I see something beautiful this morning, y'all. Look behind me. See the National Guards? Black dude. A couple of National Guards started. There's another one back there. Both brothers, man. National Guards. Stand up for the country.
I know that's right.
You know what I mean? In D.C. Love it, man. People, the media trying to make you feel like people in D.C. like they're trying so hard to make it a race thing. Let me tell you something. The Washington, D.C. citizens, they are so excited. This city been invested with crime for so long, man. To be the greatest country in the world, its capital city, to be as bad as it is when it comes to crime, it's awful. I work downtown. I go to CVS to buy like headphones. Everything's locked up because you're allowed to steal. The kids are going nuts.
And what happens? What happens when you have to start locking down everything at stores because it's so bad? These businesses begin to leave like they are doing in New York. The situation has gotten so bad in New York. These businesses are shutting their stores down left and right, because what is the point? If we have to lock everything up, we have to pay extra people to come unlock this stuff. And then on top of that, we're still ending up operating at a loss. Then we have to deal with you coming in the store, acting a fool, holding our attendance up at pew pew point, and fighting in the store. After a while, people are going to leave those communities. But then those same people that live in those communities who are against crackdown on crime will whine and complain about investment going out of the community and claim racism, when no, it's just bad business to stay somewhere where it's unsafe and unprofitable. It makes absolutely no sense.
Get on the train, everybody's acting up. But now you got the National Guards, man. It's a beautiful scene, man. It's a beautiful scene. You got the hummock. Come on, man. But you also have this. Big old sign that says F Trump. Right here, Union Station. But you know, these people, man, people like that, F Trump, this and that, they're so oblivious to what's really going on.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
Simple.
people in our comments was even saying, I told y'all, I hate y'all. I told y'all he was coming at the black people after he came after the Hispanics.
I gotta keep it 100. If the black people that are being arrested are criminals and they're being harmed at an alarming rate, or harmed, as you would say, at an alarming rate, or affected, I'm not gonna shed any tears for them. Due to their actions, the rest of us that don't commit crimes and are law-abiding citizens have to suffer. We all get profiled. We all get mistreated. We all get judged because of the actions of a few bad apples. And
I wouldn't even say it's a few bad apples. It's a lot of bad apples. So let's not act like it's enough to where it's a problem. it's enough to where people notice, right? So of course that's not characteristic of all of us, right? I mean, I know so many wonderful, law-abiding, hard-working, straight-laced Black people who also embrace the good things about our culture, because a lot of people think that, you know, in order for you to be accepted into American society, that you have to completely dissociate yourself from Black culture as well. And that's not true. But like, do we have to indulge in the worst parts of what is promoted in our culture? Absolutely not. And those of us who have been sick and tired of being judged because of the people that behave like this, we are absolutely enthusiastic about these crackdowns, and we want them all, put them all in jail. And like, are you going to have some situations where people accidentally get hemmed up? Yeah, there's no avoiding that. Are you going to have some situations where people get profiled and let go? Yeah, you're going to have that. But it's kind of like, what is the alternative? Because the alternative is don't do anything about it at all. And the crime continues to happen. The crime rate increases. Innocent people get caught up in the mix. Store owners are not able to properly operate their businesses at a profit. Investment leaves the community. Or you can lock up most of the criminals, and you know, you have some instances where people accidentally get jammed up. You know, at the end of the day, which one is going to put our country on a better path? And you know, that's where the legal system and due process should come into play. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, if you didn't do anything wrong, or you're where you're supposed to be at the right time, and you're hanging out with the right people, you don't get hemmed up in stuff like this. And that's why it's so important to teach your children. Don't, you know, you might have good kids who are law abiding and do the right thing. Y'all got to teach y'all kids to stay away from thugs, or stay away from people who can get them jammed up in situations that made it look like they were doing wrong when they weren't. Guys, please hit the like if y'all are just now coming in. That helps people know that I'm on live.
At this rate, the more you defend them and enable them, it becomes more than a few. And I'm sick of it. I think they need to be arrested. I think the crime needs to be stopped in every city. And I'm not going to sit here and cry for them.
I just don't see. If you polled America and you asked America, should violent criminals be arrested? I'm pretty sure America would say yes.
Mhm.
So if they're Black, if they're white, if they're any color, any race, if you're a violent criminal, or if you're a criminal, not even like if you're a criminal, you got to be arrested.
And one thing I noticed, each Black person that talks on here, like on these TikToks and make their videos, they all sound articulate and they all have jobs. That man said he was on the way to his job. The guy that we seen the other day that made a TikTok, he said, "Oh, I'm a teacher. I got 3 kids."
Yeah.
That's why I said I don't even think no political party can say them. Because honestly,
I'm always irritated by teachers who don't support these type of measures, because as someone who used to be a middle school and high school teacher in minority communities in the United States, we know more than anybody that if we do not course correct right now, the future is bleak, because these children are off the chain. They're disrespectful. They can't read. Their parents don't hold them to any standards. They're in the bathrooms vaping, doing illicit substances. They're sleeping with everybody at the school, on the school premises on a regular basis. Like, these kids are off the chain, and their parents are allowing them to have sleepovers with their boyfriend and girlfriend. They're allowing them to do these illicit substances. Some of these parents are doing these substances with their children. And this is not just in the hood. These are in suburban school districts. These parents are allowing these kids to run amok. So again, the future is bleak, because we are raising a generation of illiterate kids who cannot critically think, who just follow the crowd, and who are not prepared for real life. And life is already hard enough. Okay, life is hard. It doesn't need to be hard and you be an antisocial degenerate.
Kamala and Joe Biden did this. I don't know if niggas will be happy about it then, because y'all advocating for crime.
I've said it before. Only Jesus can save the Black community.
No political party can.
A lot of murders, a lot of innocent children, a lot of innocent babies, and there's nothing done about it.
And handcuffs with no reason, While much of the effort so
This
far
gotta be
appears to have
Deanwood right
focused
here.
on areas closer to the White House, federal agents have shown up in some high crime areas of the city, but some residents aren't happy about it.
They started pulling up, just instantly hopped out, started harassing us, put one of my homies in handcuffs. Like,
this 19-year-old, who asked us not to use his name, lives in Ward 8 in Southeast Washington, which has among the highest crime rates in the city.
Let's look it up.
Last week, he recorded this video showing agents from multiple agencies at this housing complex, where he says he and his friends were simply hanging out late into the evening.
they had firearms, they had their weapons, and we didn't have nothing but just ourselves to protect and make sure everybody was good. They just basically harassing us for real.
People getting pulled
Boo-hoo.
over left and right.
Get in the house.
Checkpoints everywhere. I
Boo-hoo.
felt like
Get
I
in
was
the
in a foreign country.
I've lived in cities where after 10 o'clock, if you're a teenager, you can't be outside. That's another thing. They need to start reinstating curfew for teenagers. Anybody under the age of 18, you need to have your butt in the house by no later. Like 10 o'clock on a school night is crazy, really, but y'all need to have y'all butt in the house by no later than 10 o'clock. All of this hanging out, especially when you know the police are out and about patrolling. And this is for these parents to have a conversation with these kids. Hey, they're cracking down on crime. I don't want you to get caught up in any foolishness. You need to be home. But again, these parents don't want to parent. Millennials, as bad as we talked about our parents, as bad as we talked about Gen X and the younger boomers, y'all have really did a number on these children, and you are afraid to parent your own kids. It's really sad. We have no business talking about boomers.
Nathaniel Long co-owns District Alley, a bar in the popular nightlife area of U Street in Northwest DC, where social media video has captured crowds reacting to the new checkpoints. He agrees that crime is an issue in DC, but says the White House won't solve it by force alone.
It's like a takeover instead of like, let's add some aid and let's work with the local authorities.
They always say that. They always say that.
No, baby, this is a takeover. What do you mean? If they were able, if this wouldn't be an issue if they were able to effectively do their jobs. And again, I like how Judge Janine, when somebody was like, oh, but the crime rate is going down. It's down from what? It's down from what? If it's already astronomically high and the crime rate goes down by like 10 or 20%, it's still high. It's still high. Let's be for real. And then again, that's why I say a lot of Americans need to travel because, for example, in places where there's a lot of crime, like if you go to Cartagena, Colombia, there are all throughout the city police checkpoints, and it's normal. What does that mean? Well, when the police stop you and tell you to get out the car, they don't need a reason. And it's not martial law over there, but this is just something that goes on because they know crime rates are high. People come here to engage in illicit substances. They're trying to keep the foreigners safe. A lot of foreigners get unalived because they go over there and get scoped or they get robbed and things like that. So they have these checkpoints. They will stop you, tell you to get out the car, and they will check you for illicit substances and send you about your way. And there is no due process. There is no I need a probable cause. So I don't think Americans understand how blessed we have been. But with that said, with much freedom comes much responsibility. And it's obvious to me that in places like DC, a large amount of their constituency cannot handle a certain amount of freedom. Thus the crackdown.
I mean, it's like a bull in a china.
Look
Boo-hoo.
at, hey guys, you know I read everything. Read his shirt. Well, I read the shirts.
It's product of DC Public Schools.
Well, see where that got you. Well, he owns. So I think he's the owner of this. I don't know.
Yeah, he is the owner of
he's
this
doing good,
restaurant.
but it's just like, why are we against good police work? You got pulled up on. Sorry, I'm sorry that happened. But why are you posted up outside at night?
You can own
go inside
and not have common sense.
It says,
why does it say Black America is shocked? Is it because they don't see it in their communities? I don't know why we would be shocked. Because again, I'm saying this as I grew up in the hood. And the last community I lived in Texas was a black suburb. And even in the suburbs, it's bad. Even in the places where the families have money and live in a big 5-6 bedroom houses with nice roads and big schools that have a multitude of programs for the children, and the education would be good if they would take advantage of it. Like, even in places like that, the crime is off the chain. So I don't understand why we're shocked. I don't understand why people are pretending like this is not going on and people are just making it up.
That video where that teen lives in Ward 8, the highest crime rate in the city.
So it's worse
It's
than
also
Deanwood.
the poorest.
So it's worse than Deanwood.
Is Deanwood in Ward 8? Let's find out.
It said Deanwood is South America.
No, it's not in Ward 8. It's in Ward 7.
Hey.
So the fact that Ward 8 is worse than Deanwood would have a murder rate that's 13 times higher than the national average, a property crime rate higher than the national average, and an assault rate higher than the national average. This place must be horrible. I'm sorry, buddy. Stop committing crimes. It says it consistently ranks as the most dangerous area in DC.
Why would you stereotype me like that, Jamal? I'm sorry, Mariah. They look like the type of dudes you date and then break up with in a couple months because you forgot you don't have as much leverage with good-looking conservative dudes. The premise of what you just said is that like I'm manipulative and that I need leverage over people, and I don't. I like good guys. I date good guys. I date nice guys. I don't date thugs. Most of the dudes that I date are that I would date, even if they don't talk about politics, you can tell by their actions that they're more like conservative. This one right here, I don't know if you can see. This one on the, I want to say the one with the what they all got on black shirts. I don't know how this looks to y'all. But the one to the right, to the far right of the man with the yellow shirt, this one, he's handsome. That's my type for real. But no, I wouldn't break up with somebody just because I don't have leverage. I don't even operate like that in relationships. As long as somebody is treating me right, I'm not going to break up with them just because I can't manipulate them. No, I'm going to break up with you if you're a liar. I'm going to break up with you if you're a cheater. That's why I'm going to break up with you. If you're mean, if you're not a good person.
And it's the poorest. And guess what it is? Predominantly African American. Well, brothers, we got a problem here.
This is beautiful, man. Because sometimes, soldiers, I'm not going to say they just be sitting around, but this is a beautiful job for them to do. It's making the city, and it's a beautiful thing for our tax dollars to go to.
It's not that they're cocky. It's that they have standards for how you carry yourself. A lot of men who were like super liberal, those I'm a feminist type, they don't really have standards for themselves, let alone you as a person. But I have standards. If I'm going to date a man, I have standards for how he should comport himself. So I don't mind a man. First of all the standards that a conservative man might have for a woman, I already, for the most part, have those standards by myself as a single person. But yeah, I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying.
Yeah,
because now cities are being this is gonna happen nationwide, so it's gonna make the city safer. Like, this is what needs to happen. We're not at war right now. We're at war with black people killing each other, damn near.
They're at war with each other.
So
how are you against? I just don't see how anyone can be against stopping crime.
It says in 2023, it was over 1,000 cars stolen in Ward 8.
Damn.
Over 100 homicides.
Damn.
Over 450 assaults with a dangerous weapon, which dropped to 350 in 2024. Wow.
Damn.
Incidents of theft over 1,000.
Another kind of crime that went up during the scam-demic, a lot of young men, like I used to work at the club during that time, and there was this group of young men who used to come and they used to spend so much money. It was ridiculous. So I had a friend who knew them, so she went over their house one day and she said they just had a room full of catalytic converters. Like, that's what all these young men did, was go steal catalytic converters, and those are not cheap. So that is another crime that skyrocketed. just book. Okay, so now you're talking about manosphere and red pill podcasters. I don't date those type of men. They don't like women. So there's a difference between being a conservative and being somebody who has a visceral hatred towards women. And there are men out here who are conservatives who like women. They have standards for women, but they also are not angry at women because of previous rejection or getting their heart broken. I don't deal with any type of man that walks around with that type of energy, be he liberal or conservative.
900 in 2024.
Yeah, we know. We ain't even.
I could keep going.
We know. We know.
I could keep going,
hey,
y'all.
The stats prove it. It said carjackings are down 80%. After that, yeah.
Why are you complaining about that?
Yeah,
You want your car jacked?
Yeah, man. It's interesting. They always say they always say this affects black and brown youth, and that's what they're mad at. But they're not acknowledging
they're the ones committing it.
The alarming rate of criminality among that youth. So if you want things to stop, we need to address the criminality among the youth rather than the fact that they're being criminally punished.
It is so.
Another thing that needs to happen is that they need to completely reform the prison system. And what do I mean by that? It's too fun now. How do I know this? You can go on Instagram Live on any day, and it's a whole bunch of dudes in jail with cell phones going live, getting women out in the free, and sometimes men out in the free, to sending them money. They getting super chats. They got TikTok channels. And they're able to freely do this. On top of that, people used to fear going to prison because there was a stigma around being homosexual. And I'm not saying there should, again, be a stigma around that, but there was. And then on top of that, you know, you had to like worry about not being able to have access to a woman. No. Now these men, they love jail, because a lot of these young boys, I'm saying this is somebody who taught high school in these communities. They like, I no lie, I don't have any hard evidence on this, but the amount of boys who were messing with boys on the down low was astounding to me. I would go so far as to say it's well above 50%. Well above that. And it would be boys you wouldn't have even guessed. They in the bathroom with other boys. So it's like there's no fear of going to jail anymore, because you get 3 hots in a cot. You get to sleep with the female guards, which that's another thing. I don't think women should be working in men's prisons and men should be working in women's prisons. That's a job that we absolutely need to practice discrimination in. And then on top of that, they get to have a couple boyfriends. So they're not losing that much access. A lot of them are making money. They're running illicit substances enterprises from jails. They can get everything that they need in the jailhouse. So you getting food, 3 hots in a cot, a woman, and men if you like. It's an amusement park. These dudes love going to jail. That's why they stay going in and out. Jail is like a rite of passage in much of the urban subculture. It's true, especially youth jail where my son is, and he sounds like he's a gladiator at Gladiator Youth Camp. Yeah, they love jail. They love it.
America's the softest.
You got to think about it. That's got to be one of the best places to be if you're somebody who's a bum and didn't want to get a job anyway. You don't have to pay bills. You don't have to pay bills. Like I said, you get 3 square meals, and you can buy other kind of food, commissary, and you have access to SMEGs. I don't know if I can say it on here, but y'all know what I'm saying.
On crime. In other countries, if you steal, they're cutting your hand off, and I bet people in them countries are not committing crimes.
These allegations of manipulating crime statistics has been around for quite some time now. It was back on May 22nd that the DC Police Union actually put out a press release and made that allegation. Then News 4 began to look into it. And we broadcast and published our own story back on July 18th. And now we've learned the Justice Department has launched its own investigation.
Wow.
Last month, News 4 first reported that
I'm
MPD
going to
Commander
get off
Michael.
that because I only have 15 minutes max on here, and I want to get to my next topic. So y'all know that Donald Trump just recently met with President Vladimir Putin in in Alaska, and this was over the Ukraine war. Okay, so y'all know there's an ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. President Putin came out and said that if Donald Trump would have been the president in 2020 when the war was initiated, that the war would have never happened. I said this a long time ago because if you know the history of the relations between the Ukraine and Russia and NATO, you understand that 10 years prior to the invasion, Russia had continued to warn the United States that the more you creep up on our borders and if you engage in these talks with the Ukraine, we are going to invade Ukraine. Why? Because they don't want a NATO country right up on their borders. It is a national security threat. NATO was formed specifically to be a response to Russia. So why would they want a NATO country up on their borders? So when Donald Trump was in office, he did not engage in these talks with the Ukraine. He respected it. As one world power, you got to respect somebody who was just as much of a big stepper as you. And let's be clear, whether you like him or not, whether you like Russia or not, in terms of military might, they are our equal. So there is a certain level of respect that must be given. Thus, you risk World War III. It's really that simple. And we can say, okay, well, they're wrong for invading a sovereign nation. This is a matter of, if it's a matter of survival for them, they are going to choose survival. They're going to choose them every time. And again, this was completely avoidable. People want to make it seem like they always wanted the Ukraine. No. As a matter of fact, Russia has really not had, if you think about the sheer size of the Russian army, and not just the sheer size of the Russian army, but the might of the Russians, if they had an imperialistic attitude, if they wanted to be similar to how the Germans were in World War I and II, they could have been. But their main goal and objective has always been to maintain their sovereignty and their space. NATO is out of control. And I'm sorry, two of my favorite presidents are responsible for this. Absolutely. Absolutely out of control. And again, this was all escalated by the Biden administration. They were forewarned. So yes, this absolutely was an unnecessary war that was caused by Vladimir Zelensky and Joe Biden's administration, whoever was running it at the time, because I'm not sure he even knew what the hell was going on. Okay, so we're going to go to this. I'm going to go to Lou's channel on LB Nation. And we're going to listen to his reaction and what White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt had to say when she was pressed about this from a reporter, when she was pressed about this meeting. Hold on. Why is this not? Y'all can't see it. Hold on. Add to stage. Here we go.
Caroline Levett's not playing any games. She notices what we have all noticed, that the mainstream media, for some reason, has been trying to undermine and sabotage peace talks between Russia, Ukraine, and President Trump. They've been trying to get as much information as possible. They tried to do it at Marco Rubio. They've been trying to do it at J.D. Vance, where they want to get enough information so they can stop this from happening. Why? Do they need war? Is that something that's happening here? Well, Caroline Leavitt is just not playing with them at all. She literally shuts down the entire room. You can hear the silence in these reporters as they asking these stupid questions about this peace talks that they're trying to get concessions, information about concessions. What did they do? Why are they trying to do this? Caroline Leavitt, ladies and gentlemen, one of the best press speakers, right? One of the best press secretaries, but one of the best speakers to the press that we've seen in a very, very long time. And here it is. Here she is calling them all out to their face for what they're trying to do to President Trump and the peace talks.
However, one thing that has absolutely not changed is the media's negative and downright false coverage of President Trump and his foreign policy accomplishments. From the beginning of this entire process, much of the left-wing media has been actively rooting against the president of the United States in the pursuit of peace. Initially, the media ridiculously claimed that President Trump was somehow beholden to Russia for even agreeing to have a face-to-face discussion with President Putin inside of the United States.
What does the Ukraine do for us that would make us more beholden to them and less fearful of the possibility of escalating to World War III? Because as far as I'm concerned, we are the ones who are sending them money. We are the ones that are bankrolling them. So to be against this war ending essentially is to be against the economic prosperity of the American taxpayer, in my opinion. There's been so much money given and I suspect laundered through this war with the help of Congress, by the way. Even some of these anti-war congressmen voting in approval of these bills. So there have been countless taxpayer dollars spent on this war that the Ukraine cannot win, especially without our help. And y'all know my theory. Do not let your mouth write a check that your behind cannot cash. So if you know that you cannot win a war on your own with a bigger country, it's best that you not antagonize them. And that's exactly what Zelensky did. And I'm supposed to feel like we're supposed to see them through this all the way through the end. No, it's called playing yourself. You let the Biden administration hype you up into trying a man who already told you that he was going to invade you if you kept on. You did not believe that that meat was greasy, so he had to show you. And we're supposed to continue to fund this war? Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Hey, Omar, how are you? Trump's foreign policy has not been great, but this is only the first year of his second term. Yeah, I mean, I didn't agree with what went on with the whole, with what's going on with, that other country by Iran. I don't even want to say them because, you really can't speak on them. But do I think that a Kamala Harris administration would have handled these situations better? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We got the best that we could get in this situation.
The media said President Trump was making a grave mistake by, quote, legitimizing Putin. They were aghast that President Trump would treat another world leader like a world leader. The media relentlessly attacked President Trump and claimed he suffered a, quote, major...
Ask why Donald Trump would legitimize President Putin is delusional at its finest. That is delusional as hell. When you have another country who has the same nuclear capabilities that you have, as a matter of fact, we could wipe them off the map. They could wipe us off the map. Heck, we could both wipe the world off the map. To ask a simple-minded question like, why would Donald Trump legitimize that president, is peak delusion. Let's be very clear. We have no choice but to acknowledge him. Just as he has no choice but to acknowledge our leaders.
defeat for not immediately emerging with a final agreement, even though he said heading into that meeting, this was a meeting to listen and to understand how to move the ball forward. All weekend following those historic U.S.-Russia bilateral talks, we listened to clueless pundits on television trying but failing to claim that the president had failed. The so-called experts in the foreign policy establishment, whose record is nothing but endless wars, trillions of wasted taxpayer dollars, and dead Americans, have the nerve to try and lecture President Trump, who has solved 7 global conflicts in 7 months, about peace. This is the same president, by the way, who brokered the Abraham Accords in his first term, on top of more than half a dozen other peace deals this year alone, as I just said. We also saw yesterday the president of Ukraine and all of the other major leaders of Europe fly across the Atlantic Ocean to meet President Trump at the White House because of the progress that was made, and that, if you ask the media, failed meeting, but it was not. It was highly productive and it was successful.
Now, one thing that a lot of liberal talking heads like to hold against Donald Trump is the fact that he said that he would end the war relatively quickly when he got into office. I forgot the exact amount of time he said he would end the war in, but if you thought that that conflict was going to end his first day in office, his first week, or even his first month in office, that was delusional, and he should not have said that. Let's be clear. Don't make promises about complicated situations that you're not going to be able to fulfill. You know, is it possible to end a war within a year, a couple of years, 2 or 3? Yeah, it's very possible. You know, the promise should have been that I'm going to do everything that I can to get us out of this war. But I understand making definitive statements rouses emotions more than hanging your hat on the possibility of doing something. With that said, the fact of the matter is he's been consistent on trying to find a peaceful solution in this situation. And honestly and truly, this is one of the best people that could broker a peace deal, because you have to understand, this is a president who understands that people think in terms of dollars and cents. What is beneficial versus what is not beneficial. So when you practice that level of that high level of pragmatism and also understanding, because along with that comes you being able to understand what other people want and not just look inside of yourself and what you want. That is a childish way to negotiate. You have to be able to understand other people and what they want and their needs and what they want out of the situation in order to broker these type of deals. And honestly and truly, nobody knows that better than businessmen. Period.
This is why Americans' trust in the mass media is at a lowest point in more than 5 decades. Diplomacy is a delicate process, and instead of reporting the facts about what is happening here at this White House and what is happening between this president and other leaders around the world, many outlets in this room continue to try to actively undermine the president and sabotage the efforts towards peace.
My goodness, Lord have mercy. Did she go off? My God. She just went off on the entire room, because all of them are guilty of this. They're all guilty of chasing headlines and fake stories about these peace talks and how failed the Trump meeting with Vladimir Putin was. But in reality, when you really think about it, and this is something that I've been saying, one of the main reasons I voted for Trump is because why isn't anybody speaking to Vladimir Putin? Why aren't we having conversations with the guy that we want the war to end with? There were no negotiating talks. There were no peace talks throughout years. This is the first one. We are trying to stop a war. How do we do that? Well, diplomacy, which is something that the media just has no idea how to handle or how to go about that.
It's not
and Carolina Vet notices.
How to go about that. It's twofold. Who owns these news companies? Because you have to understand, a lot of these rich people, a lot of these media conglomerates, they have money invested in stocks, and they would largely benefit from ongoing and continuous wars. So that's a piece of the equation, along with like the anti-Trump Semitism. It's like, anti-Trump sentiment. No matter what he does, it always has to be bad. Like, they can't concede a win, or else it is conceding that Donald Trump is actually capable of doing something good. These people benefit off of keeping division going in the United States. And honestly, when you think about it, it's quite evil and demonic, because this is not a game. They act like it's a game, but real people are losing their lives in these wars every day. Real homes and families are being destroyed. There are people who will never see the other side of their front door again. And it's tragic. I think we're so far removed from the situation that people forget that there's actual bloodshed in behind this conflict, and it is demonic. But when you're making millions of dollars to get on the airwaves and spew propaganda, I guess you will say whatever it is that you have to say in order to maintain your position. These people have sold their souls.
This, just like the rest of the internet is noticing, hey, Democrats are running with their own headlines on this. They're legitimately trying to undermine peace talks. One of the best things he said there was that the mainstream media is saying, why talk to Putin? Why legitimize him? What are you talking about? No matter what you think about Vladimir Putin, he is a world leader. He is the president of Russia. He is Russia's leader. Russia's at war with Ukraine. We, the taxpayers, are paying for Ukraine to stay in this war while millions unalive themselves. Lack of a better word, lack for better terms, really. But this is not the only thing that happened today. Caroline Leavitt took these, she took these fake news reporters. Literally, she's not taking any from them at all. Like, fake news reporters, this is their kryptonite.
Stop taking meeting notes and let ClickUp AI Note Taker do it for you. It allows you to focus on your meetings.
Right here. And so she sends them this message, and then they continue to spread BS, and she's not having it still. This is her isolating herself with a reporter. ISO 1212. Watch how she handles them.
Hey, if the point is to get everybody on the same page, why wouldn't Trump just take the call from Putin while the other leaders were in the room? He said it would be disrespectful to do that. But why is it disrespectful?
With all due respect, only a reporter from the New York.
That is a dumb question. I haven't heard what she's gonna say, but why would you have that? Is when you are having peace negotiations with another country, y'all got to understand, in order for the deal to go through, they be making all kind of secret deals, right? So I'm thinking back to the Cuban Missile Crisis when John F. Kennedy agreed to take our nukes out of Turkey, in order for Russia to take their nukes out of Cuba. And in American media, it was not reported that we were also conceding that, because it needs to look like you won, not that you back down. Y'all know how people are, right? A lot of times they feel like if you didn't completely dominate somebody into submission, it's an L, when really it was a win for both of them. So I'm sure there are certain things, in order for these peace deals to even go through, that you don't want to leak out, or that you don't want other people to hear, in order for it to be successful. And it's not necessarily that these are nefarious deals that are being made. It's about optics. It's also about, you don't want to always let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. So all of this, why wouldn't Trump talk to Vladimir Zelensky in front of people? Kind of like all the other, how would that look? It's like the United States and the world is ganging up on him in these peace talks. No, in a situation like that, you're going to catch more bees with honey than vinegar. All of that would make him do is feel disrespected and dig his heels in more. So again, we have people who are asking questions who don't understand basic human nature and basic human psychology. That was a low IQ question if I ever heard one. One second.
Times would ask a question like that, Sean. The president met with all of these European leaders at the White House 48 hours after sitting down with President Putin on American soil. In fact, there was so much progress in the readout that was given to these European leaders immediately following his meeting with President Putin that every single one of them got on a plane 48 hours later and flew to the United States of America. And if I could just read for all.
And we don't have to tell them all of our business. Yeah, they're our allies, but we don't owe them every detail of our negotiation. Last time I checked, we're the ones who spend the most money in the UN. They haven't been doing their part for years. So what would make somebody feel like we owe them a play-by-play on everything we're talking about? Who, like, that doesn't even make sense.
Of you some of the
Because here's the thing, they're not telling us all of their business. Let's be clear.
From those European leaders yesterday. You had President Zelensky himself saying it was a very good conversation. It was really good. We spoke about very sensitive points. The Secretary General, Mark Rutte, it was the president, only because of the president, that this deadlock was broken, but with President Putin by starting a dialogue. So these leaders who this war is in their backyard are very grateful that the president took that call and that he was there to provide them with a readout of Russia's thinking on this, something that was not done by the previous administration at all.
Wow.
Enough said. Enough said. Okay. I'm very pleased by the way that she handled this. And I'm eager to see this conflict come to an end. I'm eager for I'm eager for the government to stop wasting American tax dollars on that. Maybe those funds could be diverted elsewhere. And I'm eager to see the bloodshed stop. I want us to be a shining example of a world power that is able to negotiate true and lasting peace. Now, there are some regions where we're just never going to do that. I've given y'all my feelings about the Middle East, but where we can do that and where we can be effective in doing that, we need to try our best. With that said, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go take my daughter to the park. I'm going to go eat. Y'all know I'm in Peru, so I got to go see some sights. With that said, again, if you need any type of life coaching, or if you want to do what I do, which is live in another country, or if you want to take a 6-month or 3-month sabbatical and you need a plan in doing so, hit me up at ThePassportSis.com. I also have travel Spanish lessons. Or if you are going to be in the same country as me and you need a travel buddy, or especially when I go back to Colombia, you need somebody who's been in Colombia to show you the ropes for a weekend, you can book me at ThePassportSis.com. I got you. Thank you so much, Jamal. Thank you for everybody who smashed that like button. Thank you for participating in the chat, Jamal and Mitch. Y'all hit the like button on your way out, and I will see y'all back here tomorrow around the same time. Y'all have a good afternoon. Goodbye.